So start. And I will also start recording this because we also decided that once we have all 2 or 3 webinars recorded, we will start slowly posting different kind of advices that the founders or the investors will be giving to us. So we'll use this as the materials too. So, okay, I think we can already launch. So, hi everyone. If you haven't met with me yet from Axel's perspective, I'm Iro. I'm the director of Axel. And we started doing this kind of webinars under the umbrella of Axel's Angel Investor Academy, which was just now launched. And we did our first batch. We started our first batch a month and a half ago, and we're already kind of ending it at the end of December. And we decided why not to share publicly different kind of information to the bigger audience of people who are interested in startups and startup investments and angel investing broadly. So that's why our first webinar, if you've been there, was with David Tsiskishvili, officially our angel investor member and a good friend of ours, who is also an investor with HELIO AI too. And this time, as you might all know, we invited HELIO because they have closed this 1 million investment round. And there was very, I would say in Axel's history, this post had the most reactions ever without any ads and without any boost on the social media. So there was a big thing happening around it. And it's always so nice to hear from the ecosystem builder perspective too, that some of the startups in Georgian ecosystem are still thriving and getting such good outcomes and results. And also introducing to you Iago Gikia, who is the co-founder of HELIO AI, but a part of that is also a very good friend of Axel. Of course, the startup is our portfolio, but we also try to maintain a very close relationship with the team members of our portfolio startups, not only as an organization to startup, but also personally from team members to team members and from angel investors to team members. So, Iago, if you want to do a quick intro about yourself, about your background, and then let's go discuss about the health.
Yeah, thank you, Iro, for having us here. And thanks to everyone who is attending this webinar, or I don't know how we call it. I will give you a brief intro for me and what we do overall at HELIO, and then we can go in deeper discussions. I just wanted to say that it's a really honor to share our experience. So usually we are very transparent, so feel free to ask questions and like get most out of this meeting. We would be loving it. So my name is Iago, as you probably already see under my face. I'm one of the founders of HELIO AI. And the HELIO right now is AI recruiting agent. And we are helping companies to automate their hiring processes. And we're actually helping them to hire the best candidates in just a few clicks. But this story ended before HELIO, by the way, because we are 4 co-founders. We've been working together before HELIO, so we already have experience how to do things together. And one of the idea of HELIO came up as Nini had some acceleration program, and we had like more than 3,000 resumes to read. And that was very first idea how we could solve our very own problem, not to be awake for like more than 2 weeks and read all those resumes. And that's how we started. Right now, we launched around 2 years ago, a little bit less maybe, or exactly 2 years. And right now we have more than 400 brands across 7 countries, mostly Central Asia and East Europe. And we are expanding really, really fast. So this round, which already was announced, and a lot of people saw that was 1 million as a seed round. But before we had pre-seed round with Axel, angel investor, and 500, and it was 320K around. And also a lot of grants and some awards. That's actually brief traction of our team. We are a team of like 12 people right now, but so far we came with 8 people. So we are a pretty small team, but doing a lot of stuff.
Cool, thanks a lot. And I see that some of the team members are also here. Okay, so to go and to let all the attendees know about our agenda today, we will firstly talk about Helio a bit so that you understand better what's the product, where's the market, what are the markets that the startup operates on. We also talked a bit about the team and to understand better who the team is, because we know that mostly the angel investors and VC investors do trust the team and people behind the company, and we'll also touch point that. And then we'll go to the fundraising round and share the experience and all the ups and downs of the fundraising and how the process goes for the startup founders. And then in the end, we'll open the floor to the questions too. You can either write the questions in the chat or just raise your hand and I'll give the floor to you. Okay, this is about agenda. And yeah, to start with, so I remember when you first pitched at Axel. I first heard your pitch at the Impact Hubs demo day, and then you pitched at Axel. And I remember how well you were pitching, but that well pitch wasn't only about the you and the team only, and about how you were talking out loud about your startup, but also about the product itself. And how good the product was, even though it was on a very, very early stage at that point. And we still did not understand some of the parts. And then I remember that on our online Q&A session, we went really deep into this game side of the product, and that was something that we all fell in love with. So I won't spoil a lot of things about the product. And I'll ask you to maybe super shortly, like 2, 3 minutes, to talk about what Helio actually does and what is the tech behind it. Because we always try to say, when a lot of companies outreach us, that Axel has its own investment thesis, and we invest only in not in tech-enabled companies, but the companies that are the tech companies itself and that are oriented on building a scalable and big technology behind it. So maybe we talk a bit about the product and the tech itself, and then about other things.
Sure. With pleasure. But talking about the product is the most favorite thing with founders, right? Okay, so I'll briefly tell about the problem at first, because then it will be more like clear why this product is like this and why we are doing what we are doing. So the problem, our customers usually are companies who are having hiring processes month over month. They regularly hire new employees, mostly companies who have frontline workers, because they have high turnover and they all the time need to hire someone. And the problem for them is there are several problems. The biggest problem is that they are doing a lot of manual tasks, because they have to manually create all the jobs, then they have to manually talk with different platforms and take these jobs into different social media, etc., etc. Then they get these resumes in the mailboxes, and they have to download the CVs and then drop in the folders, read them all. Also, problem is that they are having large pipelines, so they have to somehow analyze their background, and they cannot guess their personality. So they have to hold a lot of interviews with them, and only a couple of candidates will be suitable to like go into next stages. And also problem was that they could not communicate with them all, because it's just unbelievable to talk with all of the candidates manually. So right now, Helio is kind of all-in-one software. If you are doing any hiring or recruiting task, everything is united inside the Helio. So the technology behind this is just like software, AI part, and gamification. And I'll take you through each step. The first is that you create jobs helping AI and distribute them into different channels with just a single click or in social media. Then everything automatically comes to Helio, all of the candidates, and AI in just a second reads all the resumes, reads your job description and requirements, and gives you the sorted applicant list, which are suitable for your job. Because only application and resume is not enough to assess candidate, and you need to understand their personality, we created the game. This is kind of game-based psychological test. Candidate plays for around 10 minutes. They are just having fun. And as soon as they finish the game, company can see their personal profile. So you already can match experience and personality at the same time. Then you can automate all the communication parts, rejection mails or next step or different communication or offering parts. Also, we added a few months ago AI agent into our system, and this was biggest shift so far, because not shift, I would say development, because we are moving into agentic approach. This means that I can just prompt the system. I can just tell the system what I want to do, and it will do it itself. So I don't have to click different buttons. That's about the product. So we are relied on AI and gamification part strongly.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. And for the attendees, you can already use the Q&A, part here if you have some quick questions about the product or anything that Iago will be talking about or I will be talking about. You can already ask some things down there. Okay, Iago, and my next question. So I'll go with the quick questions here so that the audience has the enough information about HELIO until we just start chatting about your investment round. My next question is about your traction, which I know is quite impressive for the early stage startups. And we can definitely say that from the start till now, you are still on a very early stage years wise. You are not at an old company. So tell us about what helped you in the process to bring such a big traction from that many countries. And also, one more thing that I hear from startups usually, which come to pitch at Axel, and not only, they usually say that they try to get the ideal product and then start going to different markets. Even though we can see you that from the very beginning you were oriented on the revenue, you're oriented on bringing new clients on board, and you were working very actively on the sales process too. And for some startup founders, these are two totally different words. That okay, I'm gonna now work on the tech and the product, and then the sales are gonna come themselves. But you somehow hacked the whole process because you are already going quite well. Let's also cover this side. How did you do that? I'm sure that's about the team and that's about the people behind you. And also, I think about the mindset too, right?
Yeah, it's definitely about the team, because everything we are pitching usually you just pitch something the team is doing. I think how it started was that, yeah, that's very, very hard kind of dilemma of founders to say that, okay, now product is ready to deliver to the customers. And I think that they never happens. And the first biggest fight among the founders was that we've been fighting each other to say that, okay, let's not take this product to do the sales. Let's wait for a little bit because it's not ready. It only can read the resume. Nothing is inside there. And that was the challenge. But we somehow overcame that. Fair, I would say. I think it's mostly fair that someone will tell you that, oh, you have ugly product and you have to be ready for that. Yeah. And sometimes reality is totally different. They might say that you have ugly product, but they also might say that, yes, I'm going to use that and please update that. So that was our case. As soon as we started to do the sales, we got first very big client in Georgia. And even we still can't believe why they bought the product, why they subscribed, but that helped us as well and other companies to onboard. I think the product development part is something that never ends. And even right now, if you just look at our team members, sale is always pushing for new features that is demanded from the markets and different markets. And product is trying to build the product which will be global and not only suitable for all the certain deals or certain companies. Also, our first clients came from Georgia, and I think Georgia gives, in a lot of situations, Georgia gives good opportunity to test your product in real environment, because you have a lot of people, especially if you have angel investor and if you have Axel. I remember before we pitched at Axel, we saw the members list. And we were like, oh my God, all of the customers which we want to onboard, they are here. So that was one big advantage. This is big advantage of Axel. So you get access to these people to talk, and give some maybe free trials or give them product for cheap or something like that. So even you warm up for the sales process and you are more brave that, okay, no one is killing you for this product. At least they say no. So that's how we started in Georgia. To be honest, I don't know what was the main factor why we have had good traction from the beginning, but I have a doubt that that was because problem was really obvious and big, and for a lot of companies. And before we launched the product and before we started to build, we had a lot of customer interviews. I know that it sounds like story, and in a lot of situations it sounds like, okay, I'm gonna hold the interview and that's all. But no, it really works if you do that right. If you really listen to those customers, then you just know that what is the biggest pain point there, so
Mm-hmm.
you can build your MVP and then upgrade that into like different directions. So I think to be brave enough to go and talk and talk and talk to the customers and never get tired of it is biggest part.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned that nobody's killing you for a bad product that is
Yeah.
real. Because at least when they see the bad product, they see the product and they understand that you are not talking only about the idea. And plus, I think they would always love to see the updates of the products afterwards. If you're saying that, okay, we have something new and it's better than the one that we showed to you a month ago. And then I think those clients are also seeing the how the company is developing and how fastly the team is developing. So this is also something to work on. And mostly, yeah, I'd say our kind of clubs or maybe different kind of business clubs that exist in Georgia, our is most more individual and others are more like business and company oriented. Is also a very good, not to go to market, but at least to get in touch individually with those people who might be making the decisions inside of their companies. And Jaako, may I ask also about the traction? I mean, not about the numbers, but the countries maybe that you are operating in. I understand that operations doesn't
Mhm.
always mean that you have thousands of the companies in those countries, but you have clients from other countries and not only from Georgia. And how did that happen? Because
Mhm.
for startups, it's we as investors are always very much concerned that the startups gets into a comfort zone in Georgia and they do not try to go outside of the country as soon as possible. And to be very honest, in the very beginning, when we were seeing this big traction around HELIO, we were thinking, how long it will take the team to start onboarding the companies outside of Georgia. And it happened, I think, right away when we asked the question in the chat. So tell us how that happened. I think it is, again, it is about the mindset of the team that you might be very happy with the product and with the outcomes, but you are never happy with whatever is happening and you always want more. And I always see that in your team. So tell us the story about maybe the first client outside of Georgia, how that process happened, and how also do you foresee, are you going to continue working on the same markets that you are on? Because obviously, you don't have that big and that many clients there to onboard more, or are you going to look also outside of those markets where you're operating at right now?
Mhm. Yeah. Right now, we have customers from outside of Georgia: Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Hungary, Lithuania, a couple more countries. Most of the clients are the biggest amount is from Uzbekistan because that was first country actually how we started. And I agree with you, that it's about mindset, I guess, because if you really want to build something big and not just usual business, it's easy to calculate the Georgian market is way too small for you to build something big that investors would love or would love to invest in it, right? So you know that it's just warm up for you. It just get used to clients and get used to environment, how to build or how to sell. And our idea was to start somehow the international sales as fast as possible. And to be honest, investors are pushing a lot in this usually, and that's a good push because you kind of build up responsibility from them that it's not personal push, it's just business push. But I mean, you have that pressure and you know that you have to go for it. um, how it happened, I mean, we don't take the sales process way too seriously, even if it's international, because how we do sales at all, we build pipeline. We have list of the potential customers. We already know our ICP. We know already the type of companies who are loving our product because their structure is like this, because their procedures are like this. So we started to analyze that which countries are the countries where we have lower adoption rate of different recruiting tools, because for us it's easier to go in an empty market and not fight for the competition, because then it's expensive for us to get new leads. So we said that, okay, the countries under 20% of applicant tracking system adoption rate is okay, because Georgia was somewhere like that. So if we are succeeding Georgia, then countries more or less like Georgia should be succeed. That was first check. And another check was that in those countries, which are the countries where we might have potentially larger pipeline of potential companies who hit in this area, right? Then we said that for in our case, it's easy to reach HRs and recruiters because they are in LinkedIn. So our biggest like part from where we generate leads is LinkedIn or job posting platforms, because we know that if company is posting job like 2 or 3 jobs monthly, then it can be a good fit for us. So we just built this, and we created some like kind of sequences of outreach messages. First message, then in 2 days, 2 more message, etc., etc. It was like totally 5 messages, and we just go for it. And sometimes sales feels like disappointing part, because you just need to catch the ratio, what percent you get from those outreaches. So you might need to do 200 outreach to get 5 company to respond, and from that 5 company you get 1 demo. So all of them are okay. You just need to understand your math, right? And that's why I say that you don't need to be tired of that, because that's the sales process. And if you think that I will just talk with the 10 customers of, oh, they didn't want to meet with me and we didn't have demo and this country is not good. No, it's not right. It's just not right sales process. So we just did like that. And first company was from Uzbekistan. Just same feeling as in Georgia. We couldn't believe why some company from Uzbekistan is now using HELIO to hire people. But we had the same issues and as in Georgia, because as soon as you go out from the country, then you realize that you thought that product was okay for this country, but for other countries, you still need to update because they have some different requirements.
There
And
is a
this never
cultural
never
context.
ends. Yes, all the
Mm-hmm.
context is like cultural. For example, they are loving Telegram. Georgians are not in
Uh-huh.
love with Telegram. So, as your software as a service, your product should be very global, and it can't have different features for this country and for this country. So it's up to our product team, which have to adjust and develop the features to maintain this global scale, right? So yeah, that was the sales process.
Okay, thanks a lot. And now that we jump slowly into the fundraising process, I don't want to touch point this 1 million round right away, but of course, congrats on that again. You've heard that from me already quite a lot of times, but let's touch on the first round that you had, because that was your first fundraising round. And may we also compare if something from your perspective has changed in the first round and in the second round, maybe how you outreach the investors, how you react to whatever smart advices the investors are giving out to you and so on. So let's start with the first round that you mentioned was 350, right? K USD. Mm, what's the plan to fundraise 350K and that was it? Or you wanted more, but you closed the round because you didn't have enough time to, I don't know, continue fundraising with others? Because it happens a lot when the startups are saying that I want 1 mil, but then they are stopping at 500,000 because they understand that they were too much into this investor relations and that the product needs a lot more time from them. And then they are stopping. And then, of course, they're changing that we had the 500,000 round and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you were mostly in touch with the local investors on the first round, but how was it for those who still are on the pre-seed round or are opening the pre-seed round? It's always very good to hear from those founders that have closed the pre-seed round and have also closed the seed round, because they have this different context from the VCs and from the angels too.
Yeah. Um, let's start from this. What I see in common, no matter the stage of investment,
Mm-hmm.
is that investors always need some result in advance and then they invest. I don't mean that you have to have like cool traction and like millions of revenue. That's not working like that, but you have to somehow prove. Let's start from the angels, right? You have to somehow prove that you can build, you understand what you are building, what you are doing, and where you want to go. Of course, it will change hundreds of times, but at least for that moment, you need to be very clear with your plans, and you need to prove that you can sell. That's why, in our case, that was the best part, probably because we already had some traction. And the first angel we onboarded like that, he said that, okay, I see you are doing something interesting. I don't know details exactly what you are doing, but I'm just loving it, right? Then was Axel, and I think Axel also loved that part because they saw that we could do things, and there was team. And team, it's not only for investors. That definitely happens like that because you are all the time fundraising or trying to go outside of the country. And if everything is dependent on CEO who is pitching or working with investors, it means that once you are fundraising, your business stops. So I think this is the worst thing that can happen around the startup. So in our case, we've been very diverse in our directions. Everyone had their job, and business never ended because for example, Iago was talking with investors and did not have any time. Everyone did their job perfectly. Um, in pre-seed stage, I think pre-seed stage is a little bit easier because you get trust easier, and some part of trust is in advance because you showed a smaller traction, but you showed that you showed the product, and then they give you this money, and then you have to build something. So seed round was harder because then you have to prove that you also got investment and you worked well with that money and you managed to grow. So seed was definitely harder, but we can go in deep with the questions.
But
But for
was it hard
pre-seed,
for you because you had the very good numbers after the pre-seed, right? I mean, when
that
you
was still hard.
yeah.
That was still hard. Some part of that was very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go in deep with that. But I wanted to add for pre-seed round that we didn't want to, even we didn't plan to fundraise 350K, to be honest. We thought that we needed less, but there was possibility, so we didn't want to reject. Um, I think at the beginning, you don't need to go for very big checks
Yeah.
because you have money and you start to spend that way too easy. You are taking easy some next developments and you spend a lot because you have that on the account and you
Mm.
are not that efficient. So that's definitely our experience.
Yeah, and plus from the founder's perspective, sometimes when you have money on the table, it seems too sexy not to take it. I mean, and to have it on your bank
Yeah,
account. But at the same time, you should take this into consideration that you are diluting yourself, right? So you're giving out your equity, your
yeah,
potential equity and shares to the investors, which you'll be giving out enough on the next stages too. And so that's why
yeah.
we're always saying there when we onboard new angel investors into Axel, and they're always challenging this valuation. And if they're it's their first time to do angel investments, and mostly if they are from the financial world and if they are the CFOs of the traditional big businesses and corporations, they are like always, how are you investing with these valuations? And I always bring in this term of the fair valuation, right? Where the startup should
Mhm.
try their best not to give out on the first pre-seed round a lot of equity so that the founders, sorry, should have enough interest in the company whenever they reach the Series A and Series B, which is quite a hard period for the founding team. I think a bit more harder even than the pre-seed and seed, because then on the Series A and on the Series B, you are there on the market and you need to sustain and retain everything that you have, and plus also grow as a startup. So take that into consideration too if we have some early stage setups here. Okay, yeah, and then to go to your this 1 mil round, I know a lot about it, so I'll ask some insider questions too. So first, tell us the story when you opened the round and when you closed the round. How long did the fundraising process take? And maybe you tell us also to how many VCs did you approach? I mean, and got been in touch with. Maybe not all of them you're going to have like counted because most of them you might have met on the conferences and etc. and just exchange the numbers and the emails. But is there an approximate number? Because you, and also maybe tell us about the round two and the VCs that you got in. There are five investors, right? If I remember it right. So with how many did you talk to take out five? And does it also look the same as you were talking the sales pipeline and management process that you talked to 200 and then you on board, you get the answer from five.
Yeah, that's exactly looks like the same as sales process, because you have large pipeline.
Yeah.
Generally it took like 10 months, but we really, really actively worked 6 months, which was like I only did the fundraising tasks. If I did that again right now with this experience, I think it would take a little bit less. That was also my mistakes there. But at least we have more experience right now. Regarding the pipeline, totally, even the ones we met with coffee or at the event, everyone is on our pipeline because you have to track them,
Well
right?
done.
You have to track each sentence you are sharing with them and where you stopped, how to update them, etc., etc. So totally on our pipeline, we had more than 300 VCs. But this number is pretty large, but the reason is that we didn't do that good research, and from them you don't know that you need to have fit with like region where you are working. You need to have fit with the ticket size or stage, or there are some funds who just don't want to hear about the HR tech and they are not investing in HR tech. So at first we didn't do deep research, and then we changed the shift because we needed way too much communication and outreach with them. So then we started to do from this more than 300 funds to analyze with which we had bigger chance. Then we tried to catch mutual connections with you, from Axel, from other investors, which we had already in pre-seed, and we asked some interest. Also participated actively in some demo days and some efforts, and I think a lot of things started from winning in merge, because that was very famous event in our region. So a lot of investors started to do outreach. Also, if you scroll our LinkedIn page, actually all of my posts are some messages to potential investors, maybe not for this round but for next round. So when they scroll your page, they need to understand who you are, how you work, what's your culture. All of the product updates was not only for customers but also for investors, because you are sending updates to even not existing but potential investors. So once they rejected you, but then maybe they might catch that, okay, you are growing month over month, so they might consider to invest you again. In the end, we had like 7 or 8 due diligence process probably, and from that 5 worked out.
Okay. As you mentioned the due diligence, because that could have been my next question too. How does the due diligence look like? And well, doesn't it work when you have already, for example, due diligence with one VC and then another one comes in and they never take into consideration the due diligence that they are doing? So, for example, for me to when you it already meant a lot to us, and that's how we will the deal. And for the stable, but you can you hear me well?
Right
Yeah,
now, yes, I had
yeah,
some
yeah.
issue
Yeah, so
probably.
my question is about the due diligence process, and do they ever take into consideration the due diligences that they are doing? Because if I imagine right now, if seven angel investors would be investing in one startup, if one of them did the right and good proper due diligence, then most probably others would also follow the same and wouldn't start doing the due diligences from the zero again. So let us look into this due diligence process because it's always just a term for the startups, and you don't know how it works until you go through it. And I think that's something that we need to hear about.
Yeah. Uh, I would start this question with defining the terms because I thought that due diligence was something a little bit different process. I thought that if investor had one interview with you, then requested some data room or some files, that was due diligence, and that's not due diligence. Um, so the process there is that if you are having investor who commits that they are lead investor, or they commit that, okay, right now I'm doing very deep due diligence, but instead I will help you with other funds. That's how it works usually, but not for all the funds. It depends on the approach, right? So in our case, the lead investor was Sabahab, who did very deep due diligence. Just to give you numbers, there was requested 130 documents. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't think that funds from other countries are doing.
And what are those documents? For example, contracts with each.
Not each. I
Uh,
say that it's
so
type
my
of
question, so
documents. Is my voice okay?
yeah, it's coming. I think it's
Okay,
my problem, but
that can be
I just now jumped to another Wi-Fi network. So
okay. That can be like documents of market research, uh, analyzing your customers, your top customers, bank statements, risk assessments, where you see risks or where how you make sure that those risks never happen. I don't know, very, very detailed. To be honest, you are not ready for that 130 documents, but you adjust time to time. And once you close one due diligence, you feel that you are much more stronger. You are more ready for for other investors. There was case when this due diligence helped us with other funds because they did very, very light due diligence, and Sabahab shared all the documents. And what I see, the earlier you have the fund in your round, it takes more to close that deal, and then it becomes easy and easy. And the last deal was closed in, I don't know, a few days, I think. So yeah, that how it works.
mhm. Okay, cool. We also have a question in the chat, and I was also going to ask the same question. You mentioned that it took you several months, but if it would have taken you a bit even more shorter if you didn't make that as small of mistakes. And you mentioned the lack of research in the very beginning about the VCs, but were there other mistakes that you as a CEO and as a co-founder feel that, okay, if not this, maybe we could have closed this, or maybe we
Mhm.
wouldn't have lost this VC if there was this kind of thing? And also, my another question, as we're talking about the mistakes and your role in the process, is you said you were totally into the fundraising process, right? I mean,
Yeah.
as a co-founder of the company, how does that usually happen? That you carry most of the fundraising tasks on your shoulders, and how do you balance between this being the main fundraiser and also the face of the company
Mhm.
for the investors, for the team, for the ex-investors, for the clients too? How does this two are manageable together? We see that they are, but give us
Mhm.
some advice about
Yeah, actually, it's not that much together because if you ask our customers who is the face from the company, I think they would say Nini, because Nini was handling mostly the
it. Okay.
sales part and to retain those customers. So that's why I said you can't be everywhere. You can't do everything at the same time. So that's why it matters that you need strong teammates and you have to be very, I don't know how to say, very easy with each other. So you understand very easy what to do, what not to do, what is my tasks, what is Nini's or Natia or Sultan's task. So it's not doing everything at the same time. Um, what was the first question? But I forgot.
That was about the mistakes in the fundraising
Oh,
process, maybe
yeah,
if
yeah.
you can tell us. Right.
Mhm. Yes. You have to do those out. The first is that you need to do research. That's definitely you need to check the every detail, how they invest, if they have ever invested companies like you, etc., etc. But another very important is that you don't have to expect that you meet someone first time, they see you first time, they hear about you first time, and they will directly invest in you. Those deals, especially in like early stages, take a lot, and you have to somehow be in relationship with the funds. You have to meet with them on the events. For example, when we've been planning in which events we needed to go, that was the first what we checked, that list of the investors. And if we had at least like 4 or 5 investors who we really want to meet, even if it's not first time, but we need to remind them about ourselves, then we joined that event. If not, if we see that list is not good for us, is not relevant, those investors are not relevant, then we didn't spend money on those type of events. So you really need to build relationship with those funds. And the main mistake was that I always wanted to do a lot of outreach, which is right, but it's better to work on intros. Find people who can do good intro for you, because if someone opens door for you to investors, that means half of the deal. So you definitely need to prioritize those funds where you can reach easily, helping your
Mhm.
funds or other people.
Okay. Cool. And Jaco, also a message from the chat and the Q&A section is that what are the key learnings from those 7 or 8 due diligences that you went through? Because mostly, as you mentioned, founders are not ready for that whenever they start fundraising. And we're always saying that even on the very early stage when they come to us, we always give them the advice like start getting ready with your data rooms and start like doing your first steps into this fundraising world of the VCs. But at the same time, for example, the documents that you mentioned, I would never imagine that might be asked. And so I would never get our startups ready for that. Even though we have almost everything, what are the mainstream kind of documents, financial documents, and etc., that the VCs are asking for? So what are the key learnings there after those 8 due diligences? And I'll also continue a quick add-on question that I do believe that the fundraising process is quite annoying at some points because you always have to smile, you always have to talk in a good mood with all the investors and so on. And maybe in those key learnings, also tell us how to maintain this like calmness when you communicate with investors. And what was the thing that was the most annoying while communicating with investors, either those who onboarded or those who rejected?
Yeah. Okay, let's start from the key learnings of like from due diligence. I think the main part what we need to understand when we are in this process is that we are pitching and we are helping funds do our due diligence on the things we already said to them that it's working like that. The numbers are these, the countries are these, product is this. So you make your job easier if you are honest and open. Of course, I don't mean that you have to tell every bad part of your business right away on the first meeting, but you don't need to have situation where you've been pitching totally different something, and on due diligence you have different reality. So I think this is something that is very important at the due diligence phase. Also, you need to understand that investment is result of your hard work in building product and doing sales, and then investment is result of all that good building part and good communication part. So if your product is not ready, if you don't have team, if you don't have some kind of trust from the customers, I think that is first thing you need to work on, and then work on the fundraising part, especially when it comes to due diligence. Also in due diligence, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but we did like that. If company is doing due diligence and they've been always doing this, especially if you don't have funds yet and it's like your first funds, you need to follow them, you know. If they are asking some informations, you have to be transparent. I mean, they need to understand that you are a person with whom they would like to work with.
Work.
Yeah. So you don't need to be rude. If you feel that fund is not right, you don't like them, you don't want to work with them, then it's red flag for you. to reject that type of funds. And we've done that, to be honest, like few times, because you mentioned how you keep this mood, right? That's maybe a strange, but we're in very close relationship with our investors already current, not only in pre-seed round, but the seed as well. So it's not discomfort for us to jump on a call with them, give them some updates, or discuss some challenges with them. So it's not that much stressful for us. But the process was very like very tiredful. But team is very important in this case, because when I was struggling with some cases and I was presenting the numbers to our team, they've been also sharing some ideas how to fix that. They've been like, this due diligence was not done only by me. Maybe I was someone who was sending the docs, but team was sitting on and telling that, okay, right now we have to work on these docs. We have to go through this due diligence. So we are now everyone working on this. And
Mhm.
usually HELIO has very fun culture. We are all the time laughing. So I think that is helping us to stay calm somehow, not to go crazy from all of this stuff.
Yeah, and as we have around 10 minutes left for the, I'll make the last round of the question, and guys, you can also ask any question in the chat. Oh, Cabo has asked, which is what was the turning point in the fundraising process? Lead investor, some new approach, or deck changes, and etc. Let's cover that question first, and then if we have left time for mine, I'll go back to mine.
Uh, yeah, I can't tell that it was like very turning point, but we all of the Mondays we've been summarizing the fundraising statuses of the week. So we've been always on the track, always tracking the data. And usually if you are doing that, the data tells you what to do and what not to do, what is working, what's not working. So I can't tell that there was like one hack. But lead investor is definitely helping, because if you are already sharing with other funds that you said no, but now I have lead investor, they are investing this and this, it's already different message. So lead investor definitely helps. Maybe their ticket is not huge, but it's very strong part of the
Yeah,
communication.
and do you usually give different terms to the lead investor? I mean, a discount or something like
Mhm.
that, or why are they called the lead investors from the founder's perspective?
Uh, I can tell that you are giving them different commercial terms,
Mm-hmm.
but there can be some very small part of some differentiations. But usually funds have different strategies, and this is also part of research. Funds are telling that I am the one who is leading the round, because then they get more attention, then they get more presence, or I don't know, they
Oh,
have
okay,
different
okay.
reasons. So if you still don't have first investor and you did research that some of the funds are usually co-investing, it's not that good to start with them, because they will
Mm-hmm.
tell that, okay, you are good, but we'll come back when you have lead investor. This is not bad as well, because we had that type of funds. But it's better to see who are those who usually get that's the first step in your fund, in your round, I would say.
Okay.
So they might ask for different terms,
Mm-hmm.
um, but you don't need to give different commercial terms to the investors in the
And
same
do
round.
they actually lead the round, or it's different for different investment rounds? Or the question is,
Mhm.
do they outreach other investors? Do they
Mhm.
do your job as the CEO's
Mhm.
job? That if you kind of join the call, they are the ones that
Mhm.
are pitching. Because once we had, we all know the Sturgeon Capital, right? So
Yeah.
once one of their portfolio startups was fundraising, and plus we were very small investors, and most probably Robin didn't want them to spend a lot of time on the small investors too. And I think this is a good role of the lead investor to
Mhm.
understand where the founder should be present or not. And um, then he did the pitch. I mean, he did everything. I think even better than the founding team. So did your lead investors do that? Or, well, if not, maybe that's because of the different rounds that were open there and here.
They did, and it's very crucial that if you're talking with that lead investor before you accept all the terms, you need to have very clear expectations what they will be doing. So we said that that lead investor should go and talk with the funds instead of us as well, to pitch them, give them access to our data room. And actually, they brought one of the funds, which is part of our round. So I think you just need to clearly understand if fund is telling that they will be leading, you need to ask what exactly they are going to do, and then track that they are doing their job, what they promised. So yes, probably that depends on the funds, but in our case, that was like that.
Okay. So there was a question about the same thing, the definition of a lead investor from Tornike. I think we also wanted to also, if there are any questions, guys, just write them in the chat. But I also wanted to touch your team because there was one of the questions in Nino's question too, but
Mhm.
also from my side too. When we invest at the very early stage, what we also ask the founding team is how they're going to continue building their team, because we know the co-founding team, I mean the CEO, CTO, CFO, shouldn't be the ones doing all the work for the next 2, 3 years, and then they should be very good with the hiring process. I'm not surprised that HELIO is very good in the hiring process because you're in the hiring
Yeah.
process, but how do you choose that kind of good team members? And I know it because I have almost all of them on the LinkedIn, and I know how from heart they are posting about HELIO and talking about
Yeah.
HELIO. Well, the first thing is the culture, of course, inside of the company, but how are you choosing the kind of right team members? And also, Nino's question was about the team, and she had the question, how did you form the team and whether the team changed through fundraising? Was there anything that you understood through the fundraising that maybe this needs to be changed inside of the company? Any that kind of change in the company on the team side? Not sure, but still, let's leave the
Mhm.
question.
Yeah, let's start from the first question. Usually, when we are hiring, I think the first check we are doing is the culture fit, because we somehow need to have the same vibe. And what we are looking for in our potential employees and team members is that very strong desire to be part of the startup. And I think this is totally different rather than being like good employee in some big organizations, because when you are onboarding in startup, you need to understand that you won't have that good office or that good environment, some super pack of employee benefits, etc., etc., but you have to be somehow hungry to be the one that is building very, very good startup. So this is the first thing what we are checking. Another thing is, of course, the part what they have to do if they understand that. But even more important, if they are willing to improve every day and learn, because even when we started the Helio, we didn't have that much big experience of startup at all. We didn't even know some wording. Even still, we don't know some of them. But we've been like listening to hundreds of videos and reading all of the articles and just improved. So for us, it's very big green flag if someone is telling that, okay, I don't know that how to do right now, but I will know that give me just a couple of days and I will figure it out. So this is two of the main how to say main things that we are looking for the employees. Um, but I don't remember the second question.
Yeah, I
I
think most
have
of
to
them
write
was
it down.
about the team and how you hire the team. That's fine.
Yeah.
There was no question, at least in the chat. Okay, and tell us what's the two questions, but I'll remember both of them. One is what are
Oh,
your
I remembered what was that.
Yep.
If fundraising changed something in the
Yeah,
team.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Actually, that didn't much change dramatically, because you know that when you don't have a lot of money in bank account and you have to be very cautious how not to overspend, you have just less hands, but the same approach. The money is changing, something that you can do that faster because you can hire more people. But in some cases, money can't solve those type of problems if you have that in the team. So money is not always the key of some part of successes. But I think you have to understand structure. And right now, why we raised this 1 million is that now we want to expand the structure we already created.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's.
Okay, cool. And my last question, two questions. One is about the plans of the Helio and
Mhm.
what's in there next for us that will. So you somehow managed to surprise the audience that is looking at you through the social media networks. Almost every 3 months or almost every 6 months, I would say there is some big news around the Helio. So what do you think will be the next one, or if there is planned anything like this? And also to take it also seriously, what is the thing that you will be most probably spending this money on? Of course, you know it in advance, and we don't want to it in
Mhm.
very details, not
Yeah.
publicly, of course, but is that towards the expansion, team building, or tech, or so on? And yeah, the last
Mhm.
one would be a quick advice for those people who are starting to fundraise right now or are thinking to open up their rounds. We could end up with that, but first.
All right. For us, the main plan is that right now with this funding, we need to spend that money mostly on customer acquisition from global markets. We have to test different markets, and we have to start some things, because before this, because we didn't have money, we did everything manually, and that was a little bit slower growth, and now we have to start scaling. And for us, we take the situation that, okay, we got this funding, but we have 1 or 1.5 year where we have to show very good results in terms of revenue and in terms of growth rate. So right now we will be with all of our minds concentrated on this. So I hope that most of the news will be from expanding and like growing
Big names and big
different big
brands, right?
names, yeah, big brands and big names and big jumps in the revenue. And of course, some part of this investment will be for engineering, because when we are getting into new markets, we need to support the product. And even right now,
Mhm.
we have releases in every 2 weeks. So we always update our product, and we know that we don't have to break anything into other markets, and this approach is working. So that's how what we will be doing. We say that we don't want to pitch right now anymore, because now we have to sell.
Enough.
Only sales pitches for now. Um, and regarding the advice, I don't know. I think the biggest advice is that if you really know that you definitely want to do this, and if you definitely believe that you are doing something good, just improve every day and don't stop, because sometimes this process feels like that you are disappointed or something is not working right. And even when we started, we everyone said that, okay, this is HR tech, you won't be fundraising, the competition is way too high. Usually you hear less motivational words than than not motivational. So just push yourself and your team, and believe in what you are doing. But at the same time, don't forget that you are getting feedbacks from the investors, which might be right. Just be careful what you need to improve, but where you need to say that you are not right. I will prove you that you are not right in this situation. That's it.
Okay, Jago, thank you so much. And to all the attendees, if there are no questions in the Q&A, if there, of course, you have last 2 minutes to write that. But if not, I'd like to thank everyone who joined. Of course, congrats again to our portfolio, to ourselves too, and also to Helio and
Yeah.
to its great team too for closing the round. And also congrats to the Georgian ecosystem too, because that was really, really motivational to other founders, because I've heard that a lot, that, oh, we needed the good news so much in the ecosystem, and that really drove a lot of motivation in people around us who are also themselves founders and who are also fundraising at the same time. Yeah, wishing you reaching all the milestones that you want to reach ahead. Wishing you the best investors on your cap table for the next round. Whenever you are ready to pitch again to other investors, and whenever you
Yeah.
when the money is already not enough to continue expanding and getting the big brands and the big companies onto your cap table. And thank you so much for your time. We will also be posting a shorts or videos or reels, however it's called, from this pitch. And we mostly also do it for this purpose, that we have a lot of followers on different pages, and they usually review the videos afterwards too. So thanks a lot. If there
Thank
are, I guess,
you.
no questions, if you want to add anything, and if not, we can stop the recording and end the webinar.
Yeah, I think that's it for now, if no questions.
Thanks.